Hi guys, I'm Pia. This is Culture Curious, and today we'll be visiting a country that most of you probably do not know much about, Kazakhstan. With me today as interview partner is my friend Yerkenaz, who was born and raised in Kazakhstan. Hi Yerkenaz, it's great to have you. Yerkenaz, when I think of Kazakhstan, I think of vast landscapes, nomad life, horse meat, and also about Borat. What do you think about when you think of Kazakhstan?
When I think about Kazakhstan, it's beautiful nature. And when people think about Kazakhstan, they say, okay, it's huge, but then not many people know how big and how beautiful it is. So it's 8 times larger than Germany, and it's bigger than the whole Western Europe. And it has so many woods, mountains, and the landscape is amazing. I would definitely recommend to visit Kazakhstan one day. And secondly, I think the hospitality of people. People are very warm and nice. I mean, they love to discover different cultures, and they love chatting with people, having people around. And this is, I think, what I miss here in Germany sometimes.
So I believe there's like this preconception that Kazakhstan is like Russia, or at least the little sister of Russia. What's your view on this?
We share a lot. So we were part of one country, Soviet Union, and we share, I think, one of the longest border with Russia, about 8,000 kilometers. I think 30% of our population is Russians, and it's a lot. A lot of Kazakhs speak Russian still, but I think there is no country with no influence from other countries. So it's like we all are interdependent. But in our case, politically and economically, we are dependent on Russia. I mean, there is an influence, not dependency, but influence. But socially and I would say ethnically, there is a huge difference. When I was thinking about that, I was like comparing maybe Germans and Turks. So even though there are a lot of people speaking Turkish or German, they are like completely different. Our alphabets look relatively similar, but it's two different language groups. Our language has Turkic roots, and Russian is basically Slavic. And historically, we had very harsh time of like being a part of Soviet Union. Maybe they treated Kazakhstan as a European country would treat their colonies back there. They would just use all the natural resources without giving Kazakhstan like an opportunity to build their infrastructure or their industry. And still nowadays we use our more natural resources rather than doing something on our own, which is also sad, but the country is relatively young and I see a hope there.
You've now been living in Germany for a couple of years, and we will talk about this later. But how about we start with you taking us back to when you were growing up in Kazakhstan? What was that like? What are some vivid memories that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because basically I was born in one country and grew up in another one. It was messed up at the beginning. I remember my parents were a little bit lost because in Soviet Union they really had this kind of ideologically picture what they should do, and now they don't know what to do. It's like a capital economy, and their rubles went like to zero, and they had no savings. And they were saying, okay, now there is a new capital established in the northern part of the country, and my parents were like, okay, now we have to move from one small village to a new capital. And we just packed in 1 month and just left a beautiful house that my father and his co-workers built in a small village. So I think it's a lot of changes for me and for the whole country. 90s were not that nice because I remember sitting at home and waiting for my parents to come, and they were very busy at work. So because they were a state work, they were working for government. Now telling you the story, I want to cry. But this was 90s, and this is how a lot of Kazakhstanis grown up.
Can I ask a follow-up question to this? Why did your parents have to move to the new capital?
They thought there are more opportunities for us, and they thought they have not obligation but a duty to build a new capital, a new country. They wanted to be involved there, and I think this is generation, they had to work hard to build a new country.
I understand, yeah, and I mean, it sounds like a very rough time starting from scratch, maybe not even knowing the direction the country is heading towards, leaving a whole ideology behind. You learned every day about this ideology and suddenly no more, right? That must have been a massive change. When you think back to your childhood, or maybe also then later in the 2000s, is there a specific Kazakh holiday that you like to remember and that you have very fond memories of?
I think it's a New Year, so it's very similar to Christmas, but we celebrate it on 31st of December. And it's like you have all your family together, and it's very nice and cozy. And we would have 4 or 5 days off, which is also fantastic. And the smell of, somehow it's like smell of oranges and the smell of the New Year tree that makes celebration awesome and nice for me personally, and I think it's for many Kazakhstanis. Like we have Russians, Germans, Ukrainians, a lot of people there, and they share this kind of magic of New Year Eve, and this is something common for all of us.
We already touched a little bit on your parents' generation. Now, for me, it's very interesting to find out, how is your generation different now from your parents' generation?
My parents' generation is generation that had to build a new country, and we were born in a new country. So it's like sometimes we don't understand each other because we have very independent points of view, and we are not that traditional as they are and they used to be. At our age, we have very different opinions, and they say, oh, this is too much, because they think that we have to have like one path to live our life. For example, like, okay, you are 35, where is your kids, or so, or like, okay, why don't you do your bachelor, but I want to take the year off. No, you have your own path and you should follow that. I think this is the huge difference. We are very open-minded. Our parents are more like, okay, let's do that. More action people. They want to have their schedule and then to follow it.
I think many people can relate, actually. So now you've been living abroad for a couple of years. You're in Germany now. Before that, you lived in the UK. I think it's usually when you live abroad that you realize then, okay, I understand now how my country has shaped me. What is this for you? What do you think is very Kazakh about you?
I think hospitality. We love having people and chatting with them. We are curious about people, and I like sipping a cup of tea. No, some kettles of tea, discussing, I don't know, politics, life, whatever. And yeah, this is something very Kazakh about me. We would invite people after, like, I don't know, meeting twice or so. Yeah, I think the more you live abroad, the more you think, okay, I'm too Kazakh. And I'm more like Eastern oriented in terms of culture. We have a respect for elderly, and like sometimes when I offer a seat, some elderly people would get offended or so, like, no, you sit. And for me, it's like I do it automatically.
Now that you have this sort of outside perspective on your country, are there also some Kazakh traditions that you think, oh, they really don't make sense to you anymore?
I think I found it weird before, and it didn't make sense even previously, how people celebrate. So once you are born, I don't know, 50% would be invited for a celebration. Okay, now you start to work, they would have another celebration. And once you go to school, they would have another big celebration, like with it could be like 150 people invited. For me, it's just like a competition, you know. The only people who take advantage of that is people who is involved in this industry, like all these artists, and we have huge restaurants. They are earning a lot, and ordinary people, they have a feeling that they have to celebrate all these nice dates. And if you have 2 or 3 kids, that it means that every year you would have to celebrate something, and they feel ashamed that, okay, I was there like celebrating my neighbors, going to school, and now I have to do the same. Now it seems so strange for me. And there is one good thing about Corona. People started to think whether they need it, which is good. Now they think, okay, I skipped this one, it wasn't that bad, and maybe we can skip something else.
Okay, so it's not only hospitality of inviting some friends, it's really taking it to the extreme and to the point where it's like societal pressure that you throw parties and spend a lot of money on your guests as well, even though maybe you can't even afford it. Do I understand this correctly?
Yes, this is the case. So they would take a loan, bank loan, and they would celebrate a wedding, and sometimes they would divorce after 1 year. This is unbelievable for me now. In our wedding, we had 450 guests. Yeah, this is how it works.
So who invited those people?
We say that wedding is not for the bride and for the groom. Wedding is for their parents.
So now you live in Munich, and I'm sure there's also some things that you find very funny or different or even weird about living in Germany. And being a German, I'm very curious to see what these things are. Please share with us.
There are a lot of stuff, I don't know. A lot of people are struggling to find new friends, or after living here 20 years, some people, they don't learn the language. There are many things, but I would stop, I think, on one. It's amazing, and it felt like home. You know, my kid, my first son, he started to visit Elterninitiative, which is like it's a kindergarten, but it's run by parents. So we do cook there, we clean there, we do all the work, but we have nurses, I mean teachers, who take care of our kids. And after 2 or 3 Elternabends, one lady came to me, and I was pregnant. She was like, do you need some stuff for the baby? I mean, I was a little bit shocked because I thought, I said yes. But then I called my German teacher asking, maybe she thinks that because of the language, I couldn't say that we are not immigrants, we are doing fine. And I called my teacher asking, do you think she thinks that we are in need or so? And she's like, no, she finds you very nice, and she just wants to share with you like some baby Kleidung, like baby clothes. And I was like, okay, and what should I do? She was like, just take it, but then you should give it back clean and with the same bags. I don't know. Okay, then I took some, and the other people were offering me like a baby trolley, whatever, like a baby seat, and it was so nice of them, and it really felt at home because in Kazakhstan we have very extended families, and we keep in touch with our cousins, whatever, and basically they all have some babies, or like, and they would, like, if somebody is pregnant or so, they would say, okay, I have this one, this size, do you want to take, or can I pick, can I drop it? This was the same. And actually, I was sharing this story with my German friends, and she was like, "Don't get too emotional." I was like, "Why? It's not only because of you being nice. It's they also taking care of the environment."
The Germans are so pragmatic. But actually, I mean, yeah, I've never thought about this, but it is true. So I'm the older sister and I have a younger sister. Once I grew out of my clothes, they were passed on to my younger sister. Once she had grown out of their clothes, my parents were looking, in their friend circle. Is there maybe a baby who can still wear these clothes or would be interested in the toys? So yes, actually, this is very common. So you've given us a great insight into Kazakhstan. Is there anything else that the viewers should know about your home country?
I think if you visit one day Central Asia or all these post-Soviet countries, they look a little bit unhappy and sad. But if you just start to ask people, they are very warm and they want to help people. They really enjoy talking to foreigners or to other people. I know there are a lot of people are like afraid of all these post-Soviet countries, but if you are just interested in the culture and in the people, it's a very nice place to visit and to spend your holiday there.
I mean, it's definitely on my bucket list to travel to Kazakhstan. Thank you so much, Yerkenaz. This was really great. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and also subscribe. There will be much more videos coming up soon. So thanks everybody and bye.